I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven. I'm here at the Metals Investor Forum in May in Vancouver, and I'm joined by Chris Taylor of Great Bear Resources. Chris has had a busy morning because just today put out drill results from the flagship project, Dixie Lake and Red Lake.
Yep.
So let's set the stage. I want to focus on the drill results, but let's set the stage a little bit and so just paint the picture of the project so that we can understand what these drill results are all about.
Okay, well, the Dixie project is about a 15-minute drive out of downtown Red Lake, the metropolis that it is. It is a metropolis when it comes to gold production, and that's why we like the area so much. So I believe there's over 30 million ounces produced locally. So that's really what got us pulled into the area, was the gold potential of our property.
And gold in Red Lake is generally narrow, it's high grade, it gets better with depth, and it's based on sort of structure and stratigraphy, to be general about it.
Yeah, that's effectively an accurate description, Gwen. So what you're looking at is about probably an average mined width in the district of about 2 meters.
Right.
So if it were free on the space of the camera, I would spread my arms like this because you'd be able to see that's about your mining width. So what we're looking for is high-grade material, generally at least 5 grams per ton. And we look at that for widths that are over, up to 2 meters and anywhere from 1 meter to, I think we've had intervals up to several meters. But obviously what we're targeting mostly is the very high-grade mineralization that we were seeing in the current drill results, which is very exciting because they're new targets. We haven't drilled some of these targets before, and we're seeing along some of our main contacts an ounce, half an ounce material. It's very exciting times for Great Bear.
Absolutely. So you had the Dixie Lake zone, or the Dixie zone, which is where most of the drilling has happened to date. It's a really interesting target. The consistency of hits there has been phenomenal. Basically every time you've hit the structure, you've hit gold, which is great. Now you're sort of looking at where that structure hinges, turns around, and looking where it might repeat sort of on to the south. And that's where some of that drilling was today. And what I think is important to point out is investors might look at these results and see, oh, the widths are really narrow. But as you said, in Red Lake, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. We hit exactly what we're looking for in Red Lake. Obviously, the more you get, the better it is. The higher the grade, the bigger the width. We've had some intervals in our first phase of drilling, which were 10 meters of 16 grams. I mean, that's astonishing. But that's astonishing for the entire district, right? So what we're looking for here, again, we'd like to see that sort of 30 gram meter intervals, 20 gram meter intervals. Those are typically economic widths in the Red Lake district. That ends up making ore in most of the mines.
And so these results that you just put out, some were from the hinge zone, and you also did some of that south limb. So
that's right.
The south limb was almost the most exciting because you just sort of stepped over there and punched a hole in, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. There's some sporadic drilling and some hits, but what we were looking at here was really how big is the system? And that's the question we've all had since we got involved in the property. So it was known that we had 500 meters of mineralization along one limb of it, and we drilled that initially. But what we're seeing is the whole thing repeats itself on the other side of that fold. It's a tight fold. So we drilled our first hole into the other side, and we got about 30 meters of silica veining, and we got intervals of gold in that veining. So what you'd see is this big hydrothermal system. It's actually quite wide. And then you would see these higher grade hits, 3 grams, 5 grams in it. But you have to see, that's our first hole into that area. And it shows you that the same contact is mineralized again over there as well. So what we're looking at here is the initial, the main contact on that one limb. It looks like that contact may extend for up to 10 kilometers on the property. That's really big. So what we did in this round of drilling was we put out some holes that were up to 2.5 kilometers away. Well, it was 1.6 kilometers away from the last drilling, but that brings the drilled length of the system here to about 2.5 kilometers. And that's impressive. The fact that every hole along that contact, along that width to date, has hit gold, it's amazing.
That's a very strong system for sure. And it leaves, in Red Lake, not only do you have it's narrow, it's high grade over narrow widths, but within those structures you'll have chutes that are particularly abundant.
Yep.
And so you've already got 2.6 kilometers. Now, of course, it's a matter of
Yep.
investigating more closely along that length and seeing what shoots, how many shoots you can sort of identify.
How many there are. In Red Lake, the zones go down kilometers, right? Like the main Red Lake mine, there's gold down over 3 kilometers depth. It's amazing.
Right.
And the highest grade stuff is down below about two kilometers, right? So you have to think that you're onto these very, very vertically extensive high grade gold systems. How many we have so far, we don't know. There's at least 3 of them that have been drilled down to about 300 meters depth that we see in the main limb. How many there are, we don't know. But as we continue to step out, we will follow up with drilling around the high grade hits, obviously, because that's where we're going to get these additional zones developed.
Absolutely. And then the depth question, that's for down the road. Red Lake generally gets better at depth, and you're still literally scratching the surface, because this is a new discovery.
And it was certainly the case. The hinge zone that we released today, the shallower hole was still about 10 grams. The deeper hole, I think we hit, it was over an ounce of materials, and that's only a 75 meter vertical difference. So that fit the pattern of getting better with depth as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's an exciting season for Great Bear, getting out there, your first sort of full-on season of large-scale exploration on the asset.
Yep.
I look forward to keeping up with the news. It's going to be a good year.
Thanks, Gwen. We got 10 more holes coming from the spring drilling, and we're drilling again on another 7,000 meters in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Perfect.
Thanks, Gwen.
Well, good luck out there.
Okay.